You are listening to an interview with clinical hypnotherapist Dr. Steve G. Jones. For a free hypnosis download, please visit stevegjones.com.
This is Yolanda Calderon welcoming you to Getting Older, Feeling Younger, an interview series in which we talk about simple ways to feel more healthy and vibrant no matter what your age. Today, I'm going to introduce you to Dr. Steve G. Jones. Dr. Steve is a board-certified clinical hypnotherapist who's been practicing since the 80s. He's the author of 25 books on topics like hypnosis, law of attraction, and weight loss. Dr. Steve has also created over 9,000 hypnosis audio recordings and 22 different online certification programs sold worldwide. He studied psychology at Harvard University and has been featured on Bravo's Millionaire Matchmaker as both a hypnotherapist and a millionaire. Welcome, Dr. Steve. I'm so glad you could join us.
Well, thanks, Yolanda. Good to be here.
All right. So I'd like to start by asking you the question I'm asking all of my experts in this series, which is, from your perspective, and you're in the field of psychology and hypnotherapy, what are one or two things that our listeners can start doing today to feel more healthy and vibrant no matter what their age or condition?
Well, I think one thing would be to change your associations, the people you hang around. They say birds of a feather flock together. Well, if you're hanging around people who don't feel, healthy and vibrant and have that mindset, then they're really going to pull you down. So one of the simple things that you can do without even concerning yourself with hypnotherapy or any kind of therapy is just start hanging around people who have a really positive mindset. The people who are fitness oriented, the people who are talking positively, the people who are making changes in their lives, even as they grow older. That's one thing you can do. The other thing you can do is really start talking to yourself differently. You want to start changing the way that you direct the commands to your subconscious mind. People don't realize that the way they talk to themselves is having a huge impact on the way that their reality shapes itself and the way they perceive things.
Mm-hmm. So talking to yourself in a more kind way, maybe?
Yes, more kind and more positively. Just looking forward to the future, believing that you're going to have success. That doesn't mean you're going to have success in everything you do, but optimism goes a long way. People who believe that something is going to happen have a far greater chance, studies show, of having it actually happen than people who just give up and people who don't think something positive is going to happen, no matter what it is.
Absolutely. I know that just empirically from my own experience. And the first thing that you said really resonates with me. Associate with people that you aspire to be more like, for one thing, but also associating with people of all different generations I find is very energizing too. Like when I was younger, I loved having friends who were older, like in their 50s and 60s. And now that I'm in my 50s, I love having friends who are in their 20s.
Yeah, I mean, they keep making people, so you might as well hang out with them, with the young ones that are going to teach you they'll teach you how to use these new gadgets they keep coming up with also. I'll be 50 next year myself, so I find myself becoming more dependent on them as translators. What does this mean? What does that mean? How do you use this thing? Show me how to use it. So hanging around with them is not only beneficial, but it's also a necessity if you want to continue thriving in business and you want to maintain your touch with current technologies.
Yeah, and so much more. Great. So tell me, what, from your definition of hypnosis, and how does it reprogram the subconscious mind?
Well, I define hypnosis as just a relaxed state of mind where you're more open and suggestible. So that's a non-technical definition. And the way it reprograms the subconscious mind is that when you are in that slowed down state, which actually is measurable, when you are in that slowed down state, you are more open to suggestion. So TV knows this. So late at night, you'll be watching something and kind of spacing out, zoning out, getting ready to go into sleep, you're in a hypnotic state at that point, the state that we call alpha, which is not completely awake and not asleep yet. And the TV advertisements come on and tell you what kind of car to drive, what kind of clothes to wear, where to go on vacation, what kind of soda to drink, and all this other stuff. And so since they know this, they're taking advantage of it. You can do this too. You can use this to your advantage. You can start programming yourself with positive things that you want to do rather than making you buy certain things and go certain places. You can use it to program yourself to have new ideas, to think in a forward-thinking manner. So you're thinking positively about your outcomes in the future and creating the life that you want to create. So it works by getting messages to your subconscious mind and bypassing what we call the critical factor. You know, that part of us that says, well, that won't work, or I tried that doesn't work. That's out of the picture once you start slowing down into hypnosis.
Mm-hmm. So you're talking about getting into a more relaxed and what you call an alpha state. So what does that look like?
Well, it's interesting, but it can look like your daily normal experience. People can go into alpha without realizing it when they're driving a car, reading a book, watching TV, riding a bike, jogging, when they're daydreaming, when they're just having a deep thought, when they're just waking up, when they're just going to sleep, when they're showering, when they're vacuuming. So it looks like normal life to us. The only difference between that and full awakening consciousness is that we are in fact slowed down a little bit, because usually when we're in that state, we're doing something by rote, something we know how to do. It doesn't require a lot of cognitive attention on our part. For example, if we're in a business meeting and we're perhaps nervous about it or excited about it, we are amped up, we are in full awakening consciousness, beta. But if we're just going to a cubicle to do some work, or driving somewhere that we've driven 100 times, or riding a bike in nature, those times we're doing something that doesn't require us to be fully alert, so we are naturally slowed down to alpha. So it actually looks like normal life even when we are in hypnosis. That's why I'm always intrigued by people who say, I can't be hypnotized. My mind's too powerful for that. I could never be hypnotized. Well, we're in and out of hypnosis every day of our lives. The only difference between going into it naturally and being put in it, like by a hypnotherapist like myself, are two things. Number one, when you're put into it professionally, the hypnotherapist is causing you to go there rather than relying on your everyday life to put you in there, which it would. And number two, the hypnotherapist's putting positive words in your mind while you're there, as opposed to the mindless, well, it's not really mindless, it's targeted to make you buy things, but as opposed to the information that you would take in when you're watching TV late at night, for example, when you're actually in hypnosis also.
Right. So, and when you're talking about alpha and beta, you're talking about the actual brain waves. I mean, this is based on research. This is actually the waves that get released by our brains, correct?
Right. The frequency at which your brain is operating. And we can track that. That's how we determine the frequency. And there is a difference between when you are fully alert and when you're slowed down a little bit, as in those examples I described, when you're in hypnosis, riding a bike, watching TV, reading a book, just waking up, just going to sleep. We can cause that to happen by using relaxing words. And the reason we can cause it to happen is not by any magical process. It's just because that's what we do anyway. We go into hypnosis when we're bored, when we're doing something that's repetitive, when we're daydreaming. We are programmed to go into hypnosis. So you might as well.
You are listening to an interview with clinical hypnotherapist Dr. Steve G. Jones. For a free hypnosis download, please visit stevegjones.com.
The state in which we're more susceptible, like you were saying.
Yes.
So you also mentioned earlier, you said something about self-talk. And can you give us some guidance on how to change our self-talk for the better, maybe?
Sure. One of the easiest ways is what a lot of people make fun of. Perhaps you've seen the old Saturday Night Live where the guy sits in front of the mirror and says, "I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me."
Right.
And he's and people liked it.
Franken, right?
Yeah, there you go. And he was a great comedian. But the thing is, that is real. That is reality. You can get programmed. Now, it's not a simple matter of doing it one time, but if you do that repeatedly, and you do it consistently, and you really put your heart into it, you are going to program yourself for whatever it is you're telling yourself. So if you tell yourself all the time, "Oh, I'm such an idiot," or "I'm so stupid," or "I'll never amount to anything," those things become your reality. Those things become your programming. So why not change it to, "I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, doggone it, people like me," or something even more powerful, such as, "I have X amount of money in the bank." We always talk in the here and now when we talk about things that we want to accomplish, because your subconscious mind then sees that there's a lack of meeting of the realities. You're saying one thing, yet it's not actually there. So your subconscious mind wants to make it so. So it wants to make you have that money that you're naming in the bank. It wants to have you have that relationship that you're talking about that you don't actually have. It wants to have you lose that weight that you haven't lost that you want to lose. So you state it as if it's already happened, and your subconscious mind becomes programmed to make it so.
And like you said, it might feel artificial at first. It might feel like you're forcing yourself a little bit to say those things, but actually you do settle into it becoming a little more natural, and then that's when it's more effective, right?
Right. You're going to feel like you're lying to yourself. You're going to feel like you're deceiving yourself. You're going to feel like, oh, maybe it's not going to work. You're going to feel like all of these types of things. Some people call it fake it till you make it. But with your subconscious mind, it doesn't look at things that way. It just looks at the idea that something is being repetitively said to me, and so it must be reality, and I will find a way to make it happen. So you actually go on autopilot at that point as your subconscious mind works on ways to make this reality. So things start to manifest in your life, and you start to think, oh, is this magic that I'm meeting this person and getting this opportunity? It's not magic at all. These are things that have been happening in your environment, but you haven't been paying attention to them. There have always been opportunities there. There have always been possibilities. But when you program your subconscious mind to take advantage of them, to act on them, then they seem like magic, because it's kind of like when you buy a car. You buy a certain type and color of car, and then suddenly everyone's driving it. You hadn't noticed that before, but now suddenly everyone has them. It's not as if that changed overnight. You just start to notice those things.
Absolutely. That's happened to me.
Yeah, it's happened to me too. Every car I get seems like everybody else has it.
Exactly. Okay, so I have one kind of big question for you. So often we know, regarding health and wellness and how to take care of ourselves, so often we know what we should be doing because there is a lot of great advice out there already. But how do you help people actually make a shift in their behavior for the long run so that when we acquire good habits, so that they actually stick? So, for example, a New Year's resolution, it's all good for the first 2 weeks of January, right? But then things kind of start to drift off. So how do we actually make those shifts?
Well,
how do you recommend it?
Yeah, I have a friend who battled with this recently. He would not go to the gym for months. I mean, like 6 months at a time. Then suddenly it was for 3 days. It was, I'm going to the gym, and posting something on social media
every day, right?
Yeah. For 3 whole days, it was every day. And he was Mr. Gym guy, and he was then going to get a smoothie with protein in it. And he'd post a picture of that, and he's so proud of it. And then he'd have another dry spell of a month or two where no gym whatsoever. And I told him, I said, look, you obviously want to make this happen, but you have to realize that it doesn't work that way. These are things that happen because of lifelong habits that you install in yourself. So the trick is not to get so far out of shape and so far down on yourself that you feel that you have to bounce back and make things and fix things, because that's a good recipe for burnout. You get back into it for 3 days and you're really going at it, and then your muscles are sore and you're not really into it and you're not seeing the results you want in those 3 whole days that you worked out, so you kind of drop it. you have to look at it in a logical way. You have to look at it as incremental steps that are implemented into your life as habitual changes. You're making little changes that make big results. And a lot of people talk about this. If an airplane is 1 degree off course, the whole time it's flying, it's going to be way off course by the time it lands, because that 1 degree starts to really matter with distance. Same thing with us. That little bit off course really starts to matter. So make those little changes and realize make those little changes to get back on course and realize they're going to add up to something big. For example, if you want to lose weight, how about cutting down on carbs? And instead of saying, "Oh, I'm on a diet and I'm going to stop doing this and start doing that and going to the gym and doing all that," how about making a little change like no more bread? Something as simple as that. It's amazing the results you'll get. I lost 30 pounds in the last year. That was one of my resolutions last year.
Wow.
I used hypnosis. I hired a dietitian and I hired a trainer. I work out 3 days a week. It's a fairly rigorous workout, but it's only 3 days a week. I get weekends off. I made some little changes in what I eat. I'm actually eating more now than I ever have before. It's just better stuff. It's just vegetables and things like that. And I added some protein here and there that I wasn't having. I made some little simple changes and I kept them up. So my advice is don't go for the big changes. Just pinpoint some little changes that you can keep up for the rest of your life. That sounds daunting, but if you think about it, that's the way you're going to make the change, and that's really how you have to look at change. What little change can I do, but forever?
I love that analogy of 1 degree. 1 degree isn't very much, but over time or over distance, it can make a huge difference. And so what we're saying is to make that 1 degree adjustment today, and then tomorrow you can make another 1 degree adjustment, right?
Yeah, ratchet it up. Exactly. That's what I was getting to. Yeah. If you, let's say for now you decide, okay, I'm going to eliminate bread. Maybe I've been buying loaves of bread and I eat a piece of bread every now and then, just as an example. There's something that they're eating every day. That's gone. That's gone from my life. It's just one thing, but it's gone. I do that for a while, and now I can take on something else. I can take on pizza, perhaps. Or perhaps I'm going to say, okay, pizza, I really like pizza. And that was a challenge with my friend. He really liked pizza. But I'm going to put pizza in its proper place. It's going to be a reward for me. So once a month or once every 2 weeks, I'll have a certain amount of pizza. And that's it. So you are able to do that. But if you think during those 3 days that you're just going to no more pizza forever and I'm on this kick, eventually you start to lose momentum because it was kind of ridiculous that you completely got rid of something that you like and you didn't even replace it with anything. So if it's something you like, you've got to put it in its place. Yes, you can have dessert. I mean, I lost 30 pounds in the last year, as I've said, and every now and then I'll have dessert, but it's every now and then. It's not at every meal like it was before. I used to think that dessert was part of the meal. That's just what came at the end of dinner. You have dessert at the end. You have cake or ice cream. That's the way it is. No, not like that anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe every 2 weeks I'll have a quarter of a piece of cake or something like that. But it's got to be something that's manageable forever for you.
Wonderful advice. Dr. Steve G. Jones, it's been such a pleasure talking to you, and I love the advice you gave us all. And I want to thank our listeners for tuning in.
You're listening to an interview with clinical hypnotherapist Dr. Steve G. Jones. For a free hypnosis download, please visit stevegjones.com.